All right, the Jose Ramirez episode is out. Make sure you go listen, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And it's probably one of my favorite episodes. It was our first guest, me and Kenny together, so it's going to be good. Kenny, what was your favorite part of the Jose Ramirez episode?
Just the fact that getting to see him go into his preparation for the fight, right? That was really cool because being a professional athlete, we all go through that time of doubt or clarity or whatever it is that right before we enter the ring or go onto the field or go onto the mound. It's just like that going into the mind of one of the world's best boxers, and it's really cool to see.
It was legit. A lot of good information. I was surprised. He is the man, obviously one of the best boxers in the world. My favorite part was getting to see all of his belts and his gloves, kind of like the behind the scenes. You guys will get to see a lot of that, the behind the scenes action. I didn't know how little padding are in those gloves.
Yeah,
you can do some damage.
It's pretty crazy the amount of force that he hits the bags in Mayweather with those little gloves. I'm just I couldn't imagine
It's amazing.
Hell no, I would not want to get hit by him at all.
Go check out the episode. I know you'll love it. More good guests coming. 1 Degree Podcasts. Off the field into the wild.
Yes, off the field into the wild.
That's it. Kenny's getting on a bull. Let's get right into it. Sitting with the champ of the world, Jose Ramirez. First of all, Jose, thank you for inviting us into your house, showing us your belts, your gloves, and sitting down and talk to us. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for coming by, and doing this podcast, man. Congrats.
It's fun. So let's get right into it. Let's get to the serious questions. Now, give me a real answer. Who's a better boxer, me or Wiggins? Come on.
Nah, man. I pledged the fifth on that one, brother. I see a lot of talent on both of you guys, man, and a lot of potential. Coming from other professional sports to to boxing, man. You guys.
So what do you think, honestly, of us? Baseball player, football player, just started boxing this year. Because the owner of Mayweather Boxing and Fitness right here.
That's right. Yeah.
We started boxing. What do you think of our boxing skills? Honestly,
I was there. What was it I started going there about a year and 2 months or so.
A year and a half ago, yeah.
I seen a lot of improvement, man, and not just from both of you guys, and not just from both of you. The people there too, man. The members, everybody's getting good, man. And I seen probably 90% of the familiar faces, and I go at 5 a.m. I go at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So I'm sure you guys have a lot of new members that come in the afternoon. But man, that's awesome. That just shows that that they love it. For them to be going at it for 2 years or plus. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, boxing is it's a lot different to where it's very humbling, but it's very fun, almost like golf. Kind of like how you're not very good, but it keeps you coming back. You made that good contact with the bag, same as golf. You made that good contact on 18, could have been your one good shot of the day.
I know that.
But you're I can get better. I can do it. Anybody can golf. Anybody can box. You just put on some gloves. You might not throw good punches. You might not have a good swing.
Yeah.
But you can keep going back. You can keep improving, and that's kind of what it's all about. Keeps you wanting to go back. When you throw that good rear hook, or you learn a new move to do defensively, or one of the coaches brings out the mitts and teaches you a combo that you've never done before. You're wow, this is so much fun.
Yeah, that's true, man. I think you hit it right on the spot right there. A lot of times there's things that no one has ever done, so you feel kind of clumsy, you feel awkward, and you never come back. But yeah, you're right. People come and they want to learn that new combination. They felt themselves learning, and they feel it. And because they feel it, they keep coming back. To get better. So yeah, that's awesome. The boxing is a beautiful sport. I've been doing it since I was 8 years old, but it's a great sport, and it's a great thing to do also for for discipline. It builds character. For your stamina, for your condition. It's a good workout.
Yeah, I think it's really cool too that you come in and you do the same class as everybody else. There's no special treatment. You don't ask for special treatment. You come in, you do the same workout that's on the board, the same combos. You can very easily just be this is a dumb, very easy combo, right? I'm going to do this. But I see you doing the same combo that everybody else is doing, and obviously, you know, working on your technique and stuff. But it's really cool for me to see you come in and just do the same exact workout. Nobody really knows that that's the champ of the world right there. Like until you see him hit the heavy
everybody
bag,
knows that's champ of the world.
You see him hit it.
Jose
and then
walks
you're
in and like everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's Jose Ramirez."
I know everybody's in the corner like, "Oh my gosh, don't." Make
Yeah,
him
no,
mad."
I
But that's cool.
and I
think
seen
that's a cool
I seen
sport.
some of the members outside, and then they come across and like maybe local restaurants. You know, Fresno's it's a big city, but it's a very small city at the same time. You know, and so one time I was at Pismo's having lunch with the family, and one of the members that I seen at the Mayweather boxing gym, she comes over with her friends. Hey Jose, like if she knew me forever, and so I kind of went along with it, And he's like, and then she's telling her friends, Jose Ramirez? Yeah, of course we do. Oh, dude, like he works out, he hits back so hard. I'm almost afraid to be next to him, But for me, at this level, I'm when I go out there, I go out there and I work, even if it's just a jab, dude. I try to learn how to throw it better, faster. You know what I mean? Even like those small fundamentals are always important to go back to and not leave them behind just because you're at this level where you're fighting with the best in the world. But it's those basic little things that you have to sometimes clean up. That make that big difference. So for me, it's a good reminder to go back to those basic combinations, that 1-2 hook. Those 3-punch combinations that sometimes you kind of forget to throw them a lot. And being consistent with your combinations, that's how you really get better.
Yeah. I feel like the combos at Mayweather are pretty good too. Like they're not bad.
They're not bad, dude.
Just vanilla, like kind of like what anybody would do in any boxing gym, right? Like, but what I like to see too is like the translation, because anybody can go in there and just throw their hand, right? And everybody can just punch, but like the translation from your whole entire body movement going into the punch. That's where like I've seen like a big difference of like me punching is turning your hips and everything starting from the ground up into a punch. That's what's really cool. And I watched you a lot doing that and seeing like how your feet move and everything like that.
Footwork.
It's so similar to all across like sports all across the board too. Like you're pitching, you're having to drop your weight and shift it in a certain way so you get more velocity. Me playing football, I have to like move my body a certain way to throw a punch, and when I'm in like pass protection, it's the same thing with boxing. It's kind of cool to see all the sports kind of translate together with like certain body movements. I
think that's why athletes from other sports can have success in other sports, because just like you said, it comes from the ground up, right? So if your footwork is good, and that's another thing too, is like once I started to work on my footwork in boxing, that's when all of my punches and the combinations became better. Yep. Like if your feet are off, you can punch, but it's really not that good. So once I started working on the footwork and actually moving around, that's when I saw a lot of the improvement.
No doubt.
Oh yeah, man. Balance is probably number one. Learning how to use your core is probably like the number one thing for any athlete. Yep. If you have a weak core and you're off balance most of the time, you're gonna look clumsy. You're gonna be out of place, or your power's not gonna be there.
And then you get put in a vulnerable spot.
Yeah.
And then
you have to move. Yeah. You gotta be quick.
Then you get embarrassed. Yeah. And like sports.
And you know what? To be honest, like some of the best fighters out there, in the history, they don't do nothing fancy. The combinations are 1-2 jab, 1-2 hook. It's just the only thing that changes a little bit once you're in the higher level. So when I go to training camp and the things that I work in during training camp, it's more of my timing, it's more of my angles. That's the only thing. Is that my placement of my footwork, changing up the combinations. But main is my timing and it's my angles, dude. Like that's the only thing that probably Mayweather, working off the screen does not teach. Is your timing and your angles. But everything else is like those combinations are all great combinations, and it's like working on those punches. And by the way, the class at 5 a.m. I haven't seen so many of the other classes, but that class at 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. I've been there. Those guys work hard.
And they get after it.
And some of the guys, they tell me, they're like, man, Jose, every time you come, we want to work extra hard because
no doubt,
because they hear the sound of the bag and then the movement.
They're like that all the time though. Like they get after it even when you're not there. They still get after it. 5 a.m. is a good crowd.
That's a great crowd, and they're disciplined. And to wake up at 5 a.m. is already a challenge. that they overpass. You know, you have to wake up at 4:15 to get ready and then head to the gym. So that itself is a challenge, and so you could tell the people that are there. So that's why I like going to those classes that early.
Yeah,
rather
it's a pretty good atmosphere, and I think like that's like our sell too. Like the members will kind of sell for us, right? Like because you see everybody get in, everybody's doing fist pumps, high fives, like wow, that was a tough class, but we all got through it together. And like everybody's very accepting of new people when they try a class for the first time. People will like introduce themselves, or they'll help them through the class, because everybody gets super nervous when they come in. Never boxed, they don't know what to do. We're like trying to teach them the punches, and they're very nervous to start, and the members are very accepting of that, and they'll help them out because they were once in that new person's shoes. So it's really cool to see that.
I drop your name all the time when like I'm like talking to
new
people.
Do it every time.
We have people that are like 70-year-old grandmas that come in here, and then we have world champion Jose Ramirez that comes in here. So it's like everybody in between fits into that rank, or in that range of boxers. So I mean,
no, definitely. So if you guys want to go get your workout, man, go to Mayweather Fitness, Boxing and Fitness here on Clovis and is it Clovis and Herndon?
Clovis and
Herndon, yeah.
So
come in, have some fun with us, because it's fun. Like that's the best thing about it, is it's fun.
And then you got this two gentlemen,
you don't feel like
man.
it.
This guy's
we'll be in there. I'll be jumping around. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll be there.
Awesome.
We'll be there.
all right, enough of Mayweather.
Yeah, let's get on.
Yeah.
So
well, the fitness stuff.
Yeah.
Kenny Wiggins boxing class.
yeah. But kind of how we were talking, like watching you hit the bag, watching somebody else who's really good at it, you can kind of get little tips and points from watching, like, because obviously we're sitting right here. Kenny and I are a lot bigger than you, and you have so much more power than us. Obviously, you've been doing it longer. Like a lot more technique and practice, but the power that comes from like the lower levels in like boxing, like what do you fight? 135? 140. So like the power that those guys have is unreal. And then when Kenny and I got to watch you live at the Save Mart Center right here, I was like a kid in a candy store. We were both at the edge of our seat. Number one, because like I think it's cool that you fight, in the Central Valley. Fight, at the Save Mart Center. Everybody's there for you, and everybody's there for you. So you kind of like try to give the people their money's worth, right?
Yeah.
Like, and when you came out, like to your song, and it was like just you by yourself, like kind of like doing your little bounce, and then you get in the ring, everybody goes crazy, right? Jose, like it was the coolest thing. And then we see you like in the ring just put on an absolute show. Like it was very, very impressive. And then to watch you live boxing, and then to see like kind of how you hit a bag, like it's very cool to see somebody at the top level perform live. Like I've never been to a boxing match. That was the first one, and I couldn't have went to a better one.
Yeah, it was really cool. What I saw the difference of like in being in live, like seeing it live, was the amount of time it took you to transition from defense to attack, which was like unbelievable to me. Like I don't know how you can read a person's body or read a person's like punch combination to get to that point where he's done throwing his combination, and before his hands are even getting back to his guard, you're already into him throwing punches. And I was just like, how is he timing that up? Like you said, timing, that's something you can't work on at like a gym like that. So I'm like, that was something that was super impressive to me. And watching it because coming from like professional athletes, right? We're both professional athletes. All three of us were professional athletes at one point. And you walking out into that ring by yourself is,
dude, I had chills.
Unreal, right? Because when I go out on the field, I have 10 other dudes with me. Tyson's pitching on the mound. He has 8 dudes behind him trying to catch the ball and help protect him.
You
right?
have a whole team.
The whole team. You have a whole team behind you. You're out there. You're by yourself.
One man army. Like,
and that's what
you're going.
Yeah,
to
man.
war.
But it's it's. And every time I watch myself, because I come home, sometimes the same night. Once after the whole storm is over, I come home, and I love to sleep with my kids. That first night after I'm done boxing, I sleep with all my kids, man, because it's a blessing for me to just be able to come home safe. Because it's a dangerous. It's a very dangerous sport, bro. It takes just one bad hit, where you can wake up in the hospital, and a high amount of percentage of fights end up in the hospital, even for a small checkup or you know, you probably got hit with a good punch that, you know, the adrenaline throughout the whole fight, you know, you don't feel it until afterwards, until you go back to the locker rooms and you start getting that headache, and the headache never goes away, and so you.
That's what you were saying, that it takes like it took you like a week to recover.
Yeah, so like
fight.
for me, you know, I've been blessed throughout my whole career to make it home, you know, right after the boxing's over. But to me, when I'm watching myself, just to, you know, be my own critic and to learn from my mistakes, I don't even recognize myself, bro. It's like I become a whole different person, bro. Like a whole different, just with a different mindset, you know. And it's when I'm walking into that ring, bro, it's just like there's nothing else exists, you know. The 1 minute after the fight does not exist. My plans after the boxing, after, you know, the fight does, you know, they're not there. They're not in my mind. I'm not thinking about nothing ahead. So it's like it's almost me living in the present, you know, and I become so fearless, bro. Like, you know, so fearless, so confident. You know, I become a role model to many kids, you know, that you probably saw in that building, and a lot of families that go and support me. But I'm, you know, overall, man, you know, prior to me walking out, I'm still just Jose. Like, I'm still like, you know, I got maybe small little butterflies.
But it's different.
And I'm thinking about like how, you know, I'm praying. I'm still in my conscious to you know, to know that I'm going into this fight, you know, by myself. So I'm praying, you know. But once I walk out from that locker room, and it takes me a minute to go through behind the venue at the St. Mark Center or any venue that I fight in, from the locker room, and it kind of gets cold going through the back, and there's, you know, people working, staff members working, and it's kind of cold, and you're walking into, you know, towards the tunnel, the entry of the tunnel, you know, it feels real cold, bro.
And you got your song playing.
But once I get to the beginning of the tunnel, to where, you know, I'm about to come out, because you got cameras who are telling you, Jose, you got 2 minutes before you walk out. So, you know, you feel cold, bro. And so you start, you know, you got to start jumping, staying warm. But once my song starts playing and it's time for me to start walking into the ring, bro, it's like, boom. It's like everything just goes away. Yep. Butterflies goes away. The regular young Jose Ramirez, so, you know, father, brother, he just takes off, and I become something so different. You know, an animal, bro, almost, to like an animal that's knows how to control his emotions, his power, his anger, his anxiety, you know, all those different emotions. An animal that could control that, and then, you know, I feel like any person that's able to control that becomes very dangerous, you know. And so I go in there with a smile, man, and I just, you know, and everything just feels so kind of blurry.
Yeah,
you know, I never hit eye-to-eye contact with someone that I might see as I walk in. You know, people tell me, Jose, you know, you shook my hand as you walked to the ring.
You don't remember?
The music sounds, I could hear the music, but everything else kind of blinked. The sound of the people just kind of slows down, and then by the time I get to the ring, you know, it's just like everything just quiet. Everything just becomes quiet. And as soon as I could just hear the bell, ding ding. Once I hear the bell, it's like I'm just confident. I'm just excited. I'm just, you know, I become this, you know, again, that animal that's able to control all those emotions, and it's a beautiful thing. And I wish I could live my life like that, like just on a regular basis, like that, bro. But it's hard.
But
bro.
That's like your skill, your talent, and it reminds me of that Mike Tyson video. How he would always talk. He would be so nervous and like afraid to fight.
Yeah,
he didn't like to fight,
say.
and then he's walking in the ring, and it shows him the crowd is crazy, and he's walking in, and he's like, I'm scared when I'm walking in. I'm nervous, and then like, you know, as I approach the ring, I'm getting like the nerves are starting to go away a little bit more, and then it goes, I step in the ring, I'm a god, and it shows like his face, and then you're like, that's a scary dude. And you were explaining the exact same thing. Because every time I listen to that video or watch that video of Mike Tyson, I get chills. Because you see how nervous he is. Like, same as me. Like, I would be nervous sitting in the bullpen. Like, dang, what's going to happen? Like, I don't want to go in. I don't want to give up a homer. Like, all that negative talk. We all get it. Yeah. It happens to us. Yeah. But then something flips. and they say, Tyson, get ready, you're going in, or you start to run out to the mound, and it's like that same feeling that Mike Tyson has, like, I'm a god.
Yeah.
It's an unreal feeling.
That's an awesome feeling, definitely.
I had the same feeling too. Like when I get ready for games, like the self-doubt and everything. But then you go back and you're like, and you think of, all right, I've earned the right to be here.
Exactly.
I've earned the right. I've worked my ass off to be in this position. Like now it's time to go out there. I've done all the prep work.
Show your talents.
I had the training camp. I had the spring training. I had all that stuff that I've done to get me to this point right here. So now it's time to go out there and just show out. And that's kind of how I was. Like I wasn't a world champion. I wasn't an all pro, but like I still walked out onto the field like I was the baddest MFer there and ready to go just knock somebody's head off.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see that too, like us sitting here, just average guys, regular guys who have, talents for us, a specific thing, but we're like all the same. Like we all get scared. We try to be as humble as we can and just be like an average person. But then when that thing like flips in your mind, it's like an amazing thing that you can be like an animal out there, how like you were just saying, like you get in, but then like as soon as you leave, you're back to your normal self.
And it's crazy how like a lot of the like people, like some athletes don't have that ability to turn it off.
Turn it off. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Always
So like
on.
all these fans and all these people want you to be animals out there on the field or in the ring, and then turn it off the second you walk out. A lot of these guys, or some of these guys, can't do that, and they expect you to be these gladiators on Sundays or whenever you hop into the ring or when you're on the field. But some of these guys can't turn it off, and that's a skill too, to be able to flip that switch on and off, which is tough because you see a lot of these like players hitting their wives or something like that, or trying to
acting violent,
or being dumb with like
arrogant and stuff like that. Yeah.
Driving fast, getting in, killing like Henry Ruggs,
Partying,
going 140 miles an hour in a car. Like, that's the same kind of thing. They want to live on that edge. They want to be that dangerous person, but the true athletes are the ones that can turn it on and off.
Yeah, they have that mental talent versus just the physical talent. Have you always had that? Were you always like that since a kid? Where you were nervous and then you just became an animal?
I always had it, bro. Because when I grew up in a very small town in Avenal.
Shout out Avenal.
Big shout out to Avenal, man. It's definitely, bro. It built me to be who I am now. So it was that environment of it's a community full of immigrants, bro. Where there's no really jealousy just because no one had more than the other. It's like, and it was an easier life to live, cause, you're at least I never saw my dad be embarrassed by another person or my family as a whole. Never be embarrassed or put into this awkward placement to where they feel belittled or little. So I was blessed to be built to be born and in a small community like Avenal, but I was very athletic as a kid, and growing up, I always had this like, almost, I had to be this good. If not, I'll be embarrassed,
Oh yeah.
And people expected me to be, after a while, they expected me to perform the same way as I did the previous time, So I always had that responsibility, and that small pressure, and I hated myself sometimes for that because sometimes I just wanted to like
be a kid,
be a kid, right?
Normal
Or
kid,
be like the other guys and just not give not care too much. But I just couldn't do that to myself, bro. That's not the way I was built in a way, And but I was always afraid to fail, and that being afraid almost made me train harder, work harder.
No doubt.
So I could prepare myself and that started because my first sport was baseball, was Little League baseball, and I started maybe with T-ball at the age of 4, and by the age of 6, I was just very fast. I was, I had a strong arm. So those some of the talent, I feel like it came natural. It was, it's either you build with it or you're not, but definitely my discipline and my, that commitment and the way my mind was being trained, coming from a family who who they're very Catholic, so they're very, very respectful. All that together, kind of made me that person that doesn't want to waste your time as a coach, and I'm gonna respect you as a coach, or else I will get disciplined back home, and so I grew up with that respect, and with that humility to understand the commitment that my coaches are putting into the sport to come and work with us, So at a very young age, I was able to see all that and kind of put all that together, and it made me become the athlete that I am. But I was nervous and I was afraid. There was times when the kids would be like, I think I could beat up Jose just because for some reason the word got out that I knew how to fight. And that was before boxing too. And I started boxing at 8, but I was like 7, 6, and I was just kind of a little rough, when it came to sports. We were playing basketball. I would, in a very organic way, I knew how to use my body. And even though I wasn't the biggest kid, but I was pretty tall as a kid. And then everybody just kind of went past
me. What happened?
I don't know, bro. It's like life told me, you're Mexican, you don't say it back then. But nah, man, it's like my son. My son, he's 7 years old. He's one of the tallest kids in his classroom. I hope he gets to 6 foot, but who knows?
That's funny.
But anyways, going back to me as a kid, I knew how to use that. So people thought, oh, sure, if Jose could be very competitive, he can most likely fight.
Yeah.
But hell no, I was afraid to fight, dude. And it's not so much that I was. Part of it was I was afraid to get embarrassed. And then second of it, my dad was going to, discipline me again if I got home and got into a fight. They were just they had no tolerance when it came to me disrespecting another my teammates, classmates, or teachers, especially grown-ups, Like that was a big no-no if I disrespected anybody that was older. But yeah, man, I was programmed that way to be able to control all my emotions, and let them out. And I think that's you hear a lot of psychologists talk about this, bro. Like it's you could trust someone that's trained to be that way more than someone that's not trained to be like that. Like who's more likely to commit a crime is probably someone that doesn't know how to train his mind to shut it off and turn it back on. I think that person becomes in a sense more dangerous than someone that's trained to know how to train his behavior to be rough when it's time to be rough, and then to be respectful when it's time to be respectful.
Yeah, that's an amazing ability to have, to be able to flip it on and off, kind of how you said, especially with fighting.
Yep.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of people kind of mix fighting with, like anger. Like that you guys are in the ring fighting each other. You're not. You're like, it's a sport. It's a very violent sport, like you said, but you're trying to do things to win that match. You're not trying to some boxers might be different. You're not trying to physically hurt that person. This is just the nature of the beast of the sport of boxing. Yeah. Right? It's just same as football. Yeah. Football is very, very violent. You guys aren't going out there out of the locker room. Let's go give somebody, a concussion.
Let's go tear someone's ACL now. We're not trying to do that. We're out there trying to make them look dumb, but we're not trying to make them hurt out for the rest of the game or whatever it is.
Sometimes, if you can't control your emotions and you show too much anger in that ring, bro, you could pay for it, bro.
Yep.
If you become tense and you become slow, and if you throw a punch with anger, that punch might be a little too slow because you're tense. Automatically, your mind just makes your body tense. When you throw that punch, becomes a lazy punch in a way, but you could get your ass countered.
Yeah.
Or if you go too hard too, you're trying to do too much.
Yeah, you go off balance and then you pay. You pay for it.
That was a big thing that I had to learn when I was in the younger years of my NFL. I always thought I had to try to do it as hard as I can as fast as I can. No, but it's controlling that that temperament, that anger, that emotion, all that kind of stuff into your play too, which translates into being more consistent, right? And translate into being more intentional with what you're doing. And that's basically what you're talking about with just being there in the boxing ring too, as just having that self-control, to have that mindset of controlling your emotions and everything.
Yeah, and definitely you have, I feel like any athlete at the highest level, you have to learn how to be very composed.
Yep.
Have that composure.
How to deal with the
control.
highs and the lows of a fight, of a career, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
especially if you get hit with a punch too. Sometimes
Yeah.
you lose your composure and then you start.
Yeah, here's a
you
good
gotta-
one.
you gotta hide it, yeah.
You're what, 26-1? Is that what it is?
28.
28-1.
28-1. Yeah.
So here we go.
Cut the man short. Come on.
No, my bad. I'm sorry. That's horrible. I should know that. But so that one is just like asterisks, right? That's what you don't want to see. So talk about that, like coming back from a loss, or the feeling of the ups and downs of your career, because you're on a high up to that point. You're undefeated.
Started
best
out
in
with the
world.
Olympics,
Yeah.
Olympian, like the young, like
All
doing
that
it,
stuff.
whooping everybody. Like what, you have like what, 18 KOs of the 28 fights?
Yeah, 18 KOs.
Yeah, so how'd you deal with
Yeah,
that?
talk about the
loss?
ups
man,
and
it
downs.
was tough, man. It was really tough. It was hard for me. I came back home and I spent a lot of time back in so I bought this little ranch where my whole family gets together, and I would spend a lot of time at that ranch because it was quiet. There was nobody around. There was no neighbors. But it was definitely hard for me to accept, just because not to be. I learned how to accept the loss eventually. I took it, and I never made no excuses. But I just felt like it was a fight that I didn't lose because I wasn't better. I just didn't perform at the best. And I kind of let myself get beat in a way.
So you kind of felt like you beat yourself. He didn't beat
exactly.
you. You
Part of it, I
yourself.
beat myself. There was, and this is one of the fights there was two mistakes that I made that cost me the fight. Literally cost me the fight. One of them was after the 5th round. I felt very confident that I was breaking this guy down, which I was. And I kind of went in there with a little bit too much, kind of rushing on my punches, kind of rushing everything just because I wanted to put him back in the ropes and get the job done. But I went rushing in with my punches, and I got countered, and he scored a knockdown. So it don't matter how much, and it was after it was like a real flash knockdown. So I got up real fast, and even though I probably won the rest of the round because it was a knockdown. It's an automatically 10-8 score on the round. So it was my first time being knocked down. So it was for me. I felt a little embarrassed, and that's and all of a sudden, like
Voice
when
starts
you
to
lo-
creep
you know,
in.
Yep, there's the.
it's like you start
roller
hearing
coaster.
all of a sudden you start losing focus because you start hearing the noises. You start hearing the noises, and when you're not focused, all of a sudden like you need to learn. I need to learn at least to experience the moment, to stay focused and stay that animal that I become. Because all of a sudden it just boom, I just like the switch turned off on me, and I became like just that Jose Ramirez who started thinking about shit. Am I ready? Like like what just happened? Should I feel embarrassed? All of a sudden I start hearing the noises, so I turned it back on real fast. Got back to myself. To the man I'm supposed to become when I'm in there. But I knew I went back to the corner. I told my coach, I was like, shit, that's my fault, man. Like, no, you're good. And then the second round, the 7th round, I'm winning the whole round, dude. The whole round. And then there was a clinch that happened. And the referee before the fight, he goes into your locker room. He explains the rules with you and your coach. Jose, there's no 3 knockdown rule. They tell you exactly what's considered below the belt. If you have your trunks a little over your belly button, they'll tell you, Jose, you have your trunks a little high, so I'm gonna let this be a good clean punch. They go over all the basics. Don't hit behind the head. If you score a knockdown, don't try to hit them. Take a step back. If I say break, you break. If I don't say break and you guys are into a clinch, you keep. That means you might have an arm that's free, and he might have your other arm might be clinched, but you could fight. I'll let you guys fight and get out of the clinch by yourself. So he goes over those rules. So it was 7 rounds towards the end. We get into this clinch, a very clear clinch, and I hear a break and a tap on my elbow, right? So I took a step back, and that dude threw an uppercut, right? So he didn't. I paid the price just because it was a clean shot, and he scored the second knockdown. And at the time, I was winning the fight probably 4 rounds to 2, maybe 4 points to 2. So that made the fight kind of even. But it took me about 2 rounds to get myself together, So I gave those 2 rounds to him, and then I won the last 3 rounds of the fight. But 12 rounds just went by so quick, and it was those 2 mistakes. It was that protect yourself at all times type of lesson. But it was a little dirty, to be honest, on his side. But again, I never made excuses, but it was tough for me because I knew if that knockdown wouldn't have happened, dude, I would have won the fight and became undisputed. And definitely the pride and glory that I would have brought to the Valley would have been huge. Becoming the first Mexican American to become undisputed world champion in the history of boxing. At the time, so there was a lot in play. But you learn to accept the loss, man, and eventually I started walking out from the house again, saying hi to people.
So you felt like kind of like
bro, months went by, bro, and
you
people
let everybody down, kind of. That's kind of
yeah,
how you
of
felt.
course, and almost like if I owe them something, and I came to realize, I don't owe nobody nothing, bro, and if they're gonna support me, they're gonna support me, but in boxing, that's sometimes what's become of boxing right now is that fans back in the days, you lose, win, they'll cheer you on, almost like the UFC fans, and I'm not saying boxing fans are not fully committed, but it feels like right now in the sport of boxing, they really use that loss against you more than any other period of time in boxing. That's why people are so afraid to take those big fights and make those fights happen, and then sometimes they go towards the money more than towards the risk and glory. But it's just there's a lot of pressure. Nothing you can't hide nothing. You can't hide from nothing. Now we have social media, so even if you make one small mistake and you feel like hopefully nobody saw, it's like that shit's everywhere now. It's like it goes viral. People talk about it, and it's not like they talk about it for that 1 month and then they don't talk about it again. No, it's like 2 years come by and be like, hey, Jose, man, I heard people say, man, you look so good, man. I wish you would have won your last fight. That shit happened in 2021 already. People still bring it up like if it happened yesterday, bro. But it's because it's not going nowhere. It's on social media. We live in times where, you can't hide from nothing. And that makes the pressure and it elevates everything much higher. And, people's minds, the state of mind.
That's on your record forever too. Like, you have that one, which probably could haunt you. Us, we're going season to season to season. This is stuck with him his whole entire career.
Yeah.
We lose, 5, 6, 20, 50 games, 100 games, like in the big leagues. You get to start over the next year, 0-0, and then you go. You don't get to start over.
I don't, bro.
That sticks with you for the rest of your career.
And it's tough, but at the end of the day, man, like we're, I'm blessed with the sport, bro, because honestly, like, this sport has given me so much, I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment, so never in my life. I knew one day I was gonna be successful. I just didn't know how, and I never thought boxing was gonna be the way. And boxing has given me so much. The fans have given me so much. So I'm very blessed, And that loss maybe did a lot for me too, bro. It was probably like a blessing in disguise because it made me realize that boxing's not all I have, because when I came back and you had that fear factor of what's going to happen with the unknown of losing. Are you going to lose your friends? Are you going to, how are people going to treat you? And I saw that, people that love me still love me, people that are my friends just still my friends. And people that respect me will continue to respect me. People that probably walked away are people that I probably never knew or never got to really know me. So that's fine. Those come and go. But it was, it got me closer to becoming a better man to those that do matter to me, And it got close, made me get closer to God too, because sometimes with so much success you get caught up too much in what belongs to this world, too much to materialistic stuff, this lifestyle that a young kid thinks that a professional or someone famous should have, and you could easily get lost in that road and become someone you're not, So that really brought me back to just kind of go back to the ground and realize, who I am and my identity and what really matters to me, and what's important. And money's not important, materialistic stuff that comes and goes. That's not important, but it's your family, it's your good friends, it's you being a good person, you being a good role model in the highs and lows. That really measures you as a man. How could you behave when you're going across adversity? You're gonna lose your composure and become a feminine, soft, scared, arrogant. All that has nothing to do with being encouraged, So, or you're gonna become this courageous man who learn how to accept his loss, and he's still moving forward, And that's what I decided to become, out of the whole moment. But it was, I wasn't gonna say it was easy,
It kind of sounds like that loss took you from a boy to a man.
Yeah,
to help you realize that. Yes, boxing is your identity. It is what you do. It's a big part of your life, but it's not only who you are. There is more to life than just boxing. There's more to just baseball, than just football. And that kind of what made me realize too is like baseball was such a big part of my life, but in the grand scheme of things, professional sports, we can only do them for so long. We have a time limit. There is a limit on our career. If you play till 40 years old, that is crazy, right? Now you have 50 to 60 years after that, right? And you started your career like when you were 20, and that's the very rare people that had that long of a career. So we have our identity as a baseball player, a boxer, a football player, but that's a very small percentage of our life. So those tough times, I'm thankful for them because it made me a man. It made me have the opportunities that I have now. Sitting down with the champion of the world, an 11-year NFL vet, in your house, doing this. I would have never been here if I didn't go through those struggles playing baseball, right? But in the time, I'm sitting there God, why me? Please just let me do good so that, I can achieve my dreams. And then God's no. Or God goes, okay, I'm going to give you exactly what you need to achieve your dreams. It might not be what you want right now, right? You might have to go to the struggle, but you asked for it. He gave it to you right then. But you're not going to realize it until 2, 3, 4 years, 4 or 5 years down the road.
Exactly. I know God works in mysterious ways, man. But we have to definitely, put him first. I put him first, and my family second, and then my career third. But it's humbling for me, bro, to be able to go through everything I've done. Go through this phase, and I'm still very active, and I still think I'm the best out there, bro. So,
As you are.
We're gonna come out to those bouts and stuff like that, but now it's, for me, I feel like I developed to become more, I think overall more matured, so if I do get to that level again, and God blesses me with the opportunity to be world champion and again, in this weight class or the next weight class, to do something more positive with it, maybe, but right now, I'm very excited about the sport just because I still know the fan base that I have out there. And, my dad always tells me, hey, because we have a labor contracting business. So we provide labor to the farmers. And right now we employ about an average. It goes up and down depending on the season, right? Sometimes the harvest, the wine grapes, come and we have to get more workers. But he has about between 75 and 150 workers throughout the year, and they always ask him, hey, when is your son fighting? When can we meet your boy? It's a lot of people, to this day, man, they only see me on TV, so they think I'm just I don't know,
God. People think that people
this
on TV.
high-end celebrity, right? So people are so excited, but now I'm approaching the sport different, bro. Before my loss, or before becoming a world champion, maybe after becoming a world champion, I was approaching the sport as just to give me financial, gains, to give me more popularity, to give me to live this lifestyle that you only see on TV, on catalogs, to be all over the news, to be all over the TV networks. You're more, it was a little bit more arrogant, now I'm approaching the sport to where I know the excitement that I bring when I perform. I know all the positivity that I bring in when I perform. The excitement and all the hope and pride that I bring in to the young kids who might support me, who are fans, who live around the area. Because even if they don't go to my fights, bro, like in the Hispanic side here in the Central Valley, I've been told, many stories, but my name comes up in the dining tables at dinner. Many small homes here in the valley. Man, have you seen Jose? He's gonna fight, and man, son, he comes from just a place just like you, And if he made it, you can make it, So I realized that me approaching the sport now to be the best role model I could be brings the excitement to continue to perform and to be a part of the sport now. Because if it was just for the same things as lifestyle and to drive better cars and to travel all over the world and be very rolly, you start learning how to be more. Probably all that is great, but it comes with maybe jealousy, bro. It comes with this uncertain feeling of you're never gonna feel full. Because it don't matter how much money you make, bro. There's always gonna be something.
What's next? Right?
People have more money than you. Yep. There's so much people out there with money, bro. And if you think you have a nice car, you might see a better car. You think you have a nice house, you might see a bigger house across the street. So, that becomes very tiring. I feel it's exhausting in a way. To have that type of mentality. And again, now I feel like I'm approaching it in a different way. I think in a way that makes me more excited, more meaningful, and it fulfills me. It fulfills my soul because now I'm content. I'm content with what I have, and I'm blessed with what I have, and I'm humbled and thankful for what I have. And that itself makes me excited to go out there and become the best, bro, at 140, and to go through anybody, bro, because I feel like I got the skills, and I'm 31 years old, so I'm not considered the youngest in the sport, but shit, I feel young, mentally right now. I feel young, and I feel reborn.
Heck yeah.
And it's that's a dangerous place to be in,
dangerous
too.
Man,
because
right there.
So all that stuff, the young stuff, right? The money, the cars, the clothes, whatever, all that stuff is in the past, right? So now all you could do is focus on your family and boxing, right? So that's you don't have to focus on any of that other stuff, and none of that other stuff is taking up your mental capacity, right?
Exactly.
So now you can just focus on boxing and becoming that world champ again, and anybody who walks in that ring against you just
bro, they're gonna have definitely a tough time, and I'm not gonna say I might not never lose, but I don't believe right now that I.
That's a bad.
Let's say you ain't gonna lose again.
You ain't gonna lose.
I just I
shoot.
think,
When Kenny and I watched you live here at the Save Mart Center, we literally kept looking at each other and been like, this dude's putting on a show. He's putting on a show for the people. Like, you just kept going after that guy, and we kept thinking, it's like, this dude's not getting tired. Like, you kept going after him, like round after round after round, like going after him, and like is that kind of your style, or is like different?
Bro,
like opponents kind of bring different.
I'm glad you asked, bro. This last training camp was the training camp that I've invested in my own body more than any time of my career, bro. Since I started boxing,
you're going to see in Dr. B.
I was seeing Dr. Bautista. Shout out to Dr. Bautista, man. He does an awesome job with athletes, young athletes, and everyone in the community, But he put me in this routine, bro, to get my vitamins once a week, IV cocktails, recovery, go get into the cryotherapy, the hyperbaric chamber,
red light stuff.
Bro, hyperbaric. I was doing, and because I fought in Fresno, I was also had those resources throughout the whole fight week, and you. Fighting is one thing, bro, but making weight itself that's probably the biggest challenge for any professional, UFC fighter, MMA fighter, or boxer, or even a wrestler.
Because you walk around at what weight normally? You can.
I'm gonna take away a couple pounds. Just don't bust out the skirt right now. All right, let me see. Nah, I'm probably working at 165.
Yeah. Okay.
165.
So, yeah, 25 pounds.
And you
on-
fight at
on
140,
140,
165, and then
that's
what
a
do you weigh
drop.
when you're fighting? Like when you're actually in the ring, what do you think you
Yeah,
weigh?
so we actually do weigh in right before.
Oh, you do weigh in, right?
We weigh in.
before.
Yeah, they just get our weights just for record purpose. We weigh in. We get to the locker room at. See, I perform around 8:30 p.m. Usually I'm the main event. So we supposed to be at the in our locker rooms at 6 p.m. So as soon as I get there, I get assigned a commissioner, and that person stays with me at all times. Like even every time I go to the restroom, he walks into the restroom with me just to make sure, you know. And the first thing he does when we walk in is like, "Are you ready to use the restroom?" So we go get drug tested. That's the first thing. So we go
drug
straight-
tested right there.
Right there, yeah,
Right
with
for
the
the
urine test, you know. So we do the urine test, and there's a doctor there, and then we go check our weight. And usually I'm 152 and a half, 150, between 152 and 154. So I do gain about 12 to 14 pounds. So about 10, 8 to 10% of the weight, I'll say.
That's
So
crazy.
It's crazy how much it swings like that. I mean,
but
you could-
the majority of it is
It's just
water, you
water,
know. But
yeah.
if I get if I put too much weight, like too much,
I
like
feel slow.
yeah, you feel slow, sluggish, you know. So
especially like getting all those
bro,
IVs and everything in your
the
body.
the diet does not end the day before when you make weight.
Yeah.
Hell no, bro. I got this resume to follow. This
Plan.
plan to follow that my nutritionist puts together. You know, so I eat all the right things to rehydrate properly. You know, all the rice and the rice just to all this, you know, get my carbohydrates back, get my energy back, and to absorb the water back in. You know, my protein and stuff like that. So my diet does not end until after the fight. You know, but
Hey, what do you go to after the fight though?
oh, so yeah. So after this, like here in Fresno, after the fight, we went to Fleming's. Man, shout out to Fleming's, bro. They stayed open until like 2 a.m. for me. So.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we were there before.
We were there before.
yeah,
the
we
fight.
were there before.
We were there before with
yeah,
Quincy, and then we all went over.
Yes, I went to I went to Fleming's, man. I left. I was leaving the locker room, and they're like, "Jose, your place ready?" Well, it's gonna take me about half an hour to get there, and usually I take my time, bro. Because as soon as I get back to the locker room, I say hi to my family, and there's friends and family that usually come in, say hi, congratulations, stuff like that. But then we have to get tested again, bro. After the fight, so we were a little dehydrated because of 12 rounds or 11 rounds. So sometimes, you know, you gotta drink more water, and it takes me 30-45 minutes for me to want to go again.
Test you before and after.
Yeah, before and after, yeah.
Probably because you're super diluted when you get there, right? So they want to.
Yeah, people just want to make sure, and
Yeah,
it's I'm all good for that, bro. I'm all good for all that, you know, having that responsibility to make sure that you don't do nothing illegal, you know.
Yeah,
in
keep the
sports.
sport
We're
clean.
fine.
Respect the sport.
You know, respect the sport, respect my opponents too, you know, because you know, they have their families to go back home to, you know. So anybody that has taken some illegal enhanced supplements, you know, I'm not gonna bash them, bro, but I just feel like, you know, they could really hurt someone in there, you know. So, but anyways, going back to this, Fleming's, bro. That's you know, I was the text Jose, your bone-in ribeye. That's probably my favorite cut. It's ready, so
I'm getting hungry.
I'll have you over here. We'll do some
man,
ribeyes.
so
We'll do some
yeah,
ribeyes
so
at
we,
the
you know,
house.
Fleming's usually, you know, it's when I fight in Fresno, and then they stayed open, so it was awesome. But going back to this training camp, you know, recovery, bros, was what I really focused on. I really felt really young. My body felt young. I finally got a physical therapist to keep me loose, bro, because I get so tight, bro. I hate stretching, bro. Like, all my coaches, bro, all my strength and conditioning coaches, you know, everybody I work with, bro, like, will say you gotta stretch, like you're so tight, you know. So that's something I gotta work on, continue to work on, is, you know, staying loose, staying agile, you know. But I feel like I did, you know, a lot better, bro, this last camp, as far as like when it came to recovery. That when I was fighting, you could see my the way I was walking back to the corner, right? Because I saw myself too the next, you know, the next morning or so, the same night. Well, that morning of the next night, I was watching myself, and I saw myself walking. The way I was walking real like if I was fresh.
You
After
looked
every
fresh.
round, so
you looked fresh.
So I did a great job, man. So that's something right now that I really trust, that process of recovery. You know, so you know, train hard but recover 2 times harder, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's impressive. It was impressive.
I thought it was just
Watching.
because you were taking classes at Mayweather. You were in such good shape.
On the treadmill.
Yeah, man.
what was that, running on the treadmill, huh?
Oh, man. All right, we got a question here from one of the best pitchers in the big leagues right now, Brennan Bernardino. Shout out to Bernie with the Red Sox. Got like a 2 ERA. Awesome guy. He's got a question. So in pitching, there's a point in the at-bat where you can kind of tell where you can set somebody up and then you can get them out. You know, like high, you know, like up and high fastball, you know, you can get them with a changeup to where you kind of already know that you got that guy out. You just have to execute the pitch. So he asks, so you have a very good KO rate. Is there a point in the fight when you see that you've already beat your opponent and there's a way to kind of set him up and all you have to do is just execute that combo or execute that punch?
Most definitely. I think, and that could vary in boxing too. There's a round that you could see it, and if you miss it, you might not see it again until a couple rounds later, you know. But that's all about being a good fighter, is having that IQ to be able to read your opponents and those windows of opportunities to land a good shot, you know. But yeah, there's times when you feel like they gave in by an expression that they might show, by their
body language.
Yeah, man. Where you could feel like, okay, you know, they don't want to be in here no more, you know, because in boxing, bro, like the hardest thing, the thing that you should never do is to let your opponent know that you're hurt, even if he lands a good punch, bro. Even if he, let them know that if he still rushes in, you're gonna hit him with something, you know. So and there's times that that they give in that, bro. They give that expression, that they show that body language. So when you hit them, they do this.
Yeah, there's no subbing out in boxing.
Yeah, bro.
No.
There's no like,
bro,
I need a breather, coach. No, there's no tapping out. There's you are in there.
And then you start setting up those plans, those traps, and for example, I'm a fighter that likes to go to the body a lot, So most fighters going into the ring, they know that they practice that back at their gym. They saw a lot of my own fights and a lot of tape on me, so they know exactly what I bring in. But but when I go in there, I see them that they got their hand real tight to their body, because they know I use my left body shot to the liver, and I might tap them, and I might just do a small feint. And if I see them drop this, I was like, okay. So I won't do it right away. I take my time, and when they least expect it is when I make that move. And for example, they bring it down, so I still throw it, tap it, not hard, so they can know that, okay, they were not wrong. So they can mentally know that they were not wrong, that they did bring it at the right time. Again, I might do it twice. Again, I do it again, and this time I don't throw nothing. So now they're like, oh shit, is he ready to make that move? So then I feint to the body, and they bring it down kind of slow, because now they're hesitant, because the third time I never threw nothing. So they're like, oh shit, is he ready to counter upstairs? Because they're not stupid fighters, they're real smart fighters now. So they're thinking every possible thing I could do. So I use that against them now, to where they're hesitant. So when they're hesitant, they might bring it down a little slow, because they don't know to keep it up, because the counter punch might come or the body shot might come. And that's when I usually go upstairs, because I catch them being too slow on the fact that on the reaction time, because now their mind is telling them to keep their hand up, but their heart is telling them to put their hand down. And it's like
chess game. It's a chess game.
It's a chess game, bro. Yeah. And I use that against them all the time. And that's the goal. And sometimes I hit the body, boom, so they block it, and they pick it up because they know the counter punch is coming. And I go double to the body. Boom. And the second one hits harder too than the first one.
And that's what you got the last guy.
Yeah, did you have success that last
one?
one?
Boom. And then he picks it up and boom, again. It comes again.
Yeah, because he just stopped. He didn't want any more part of it. He's like, I'm done. I'm just going to stay on a knee right here.
It was a good body shot right to the gut. I felt it, and I knew that he was hurt, And there was one knockdown that it came from a short hook. Sometimes, even for me, it's a reminder too, because during the fight, I was like, okay, this guy, he could take a punch, but I was also kind of like being really aggressive with his punches, kind of throwing them hard and kind of a little wide. So what I did is I started sometimes just touching touching him, and then one of the hooks, it was real short, but it was all body, boom, and then that one hit him right placements, you know. So sometimes that one, you know, is timing them, you know, the right placement, and that's, you know, you're gonna hurt your opponent. So it was right in the chin, and it was real short, but like he you know, that's where I threw him off, and that's where I scored the first knockdown. But a lot of people didn't know where it came from, but it was that little short hook.
You know where it came from? We've been working out that and working at that at Mayweather, the body shots. We've been working on that.
Man. I mean,
No, very impressive.
It's so cool just to listen to like that, right? Because I grew up not in the boxing world, all that kind of stuff, but just being able to like look at here or be here and see you talking about like the little intricacies of boxing that people don't really know or see. It's just like the same kind of thing. I can relate to you with football, but you would know where I'm coming from. But it's cool to see somebody at the top of the food chain in the boxing world explain how how he does it. You know, like it's just cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very impressive. Very impressive. You're the man. You're the man for hanging out with us. Wiggins got to go pick up his dog. His dog's could be training because his dog don't mind. So obviously, but dog's gonna be good now, huh, Kenny?
Yep. Judy better step it up.
We appreciate you, Jose. Man, thank
you, Tyson. Thank you, Kenny.
This was amazing.
You guys, man.
Stay tuned for a little bit more content. Maybe we'll get. So if you don't know, he's got to ride a bull, and then I got to get in the ring with somebody. So I'm gonna need you to train me.
Okay.
I'm gonna need you to help me teach.
I want to do like an amateur 3 rounds.
We'll do it.
I thought you were this close to saying, and I need you to get in the ring with me.
No.
No. I tried. I was like, I'll fight Jose.
You would take it easy on him.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah. No, I will. Of course.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
No,
he
wants
me on a bull who's like
he wants somebody to like whoop my ass in the ring because he thinks that I'm gonna put him on like the world's rankest bull.
I'm gonna get you on an amateur boss, or you're gonna need me on an amateur
No, we should
bull.
do, man. We should put you one of those shields.
Yeah.
And let me throw in body shot.
I'll do that.
With the shields.
With
the shield, and see how it feels. Imagine without the shield.
Okay, right? and if I can't take it, then I can't get in the ring.
No, you're gonna get in the ring.
We'll
if I'm getting on a bull,
we'll
you're
get
getting on the
you
ring.
on a mechanical bull, and if you can ride it, then we'll get on the bull. If you can't ride it, then you can't get on the bull. If I can't take the punch from him with the gear on, then I can't fight.
Then I'm just gonna fall off the bull.
All right, that's it. Until next time. Appreciate it, Jose.
Yep.